All right, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of Whiskey Babble. Tonight's guest is a strapping young lad in a Mopar hat. His name is Patrick. And what I keep your mouth shut. What did I tell you until we start going? There it is. Okay. So tonight we're drinking. We've got some Four Roses small batch whiskey. Once again, we're not sponsored by anybody. We just like talking about them. So we'll talk about that more when we get into the show. And then Pat brought some Midnight Moonshine. Is this the apple pie flavor?
It
is the apple pie flavor. Perfect. It's a great flavor. We drank a whole bottle one night when we were out camping. It was glorious.
We sure did.
Yeah, we did. Anyways, so
I don't remember a lot of that night.
I don't remember a lot of that either. We had some in-depth talks about conspiracy theories and like lizard people and the World Bank and like the Rothschilds, and it was good stuff. And you could talk to it. I was just messing with you.
I know. I just don't know what to say because that's really weird. that's not. I kind of want to leave now.
All right, guys. So welcome. We're gonna be talking to Pat tonight about his job, which I find really interesting. I've never really met somebody in that career before, but we're gonna say that till we start off the show. Anyways, so let's get going.
You are now tuned to Whiskey Babble.
All right, Patrick. Do you like Pat or Patrick?
I like Pat or Patrick. Pat's better.
Pat's better.
I like that song, by the way. That intro song. It's just Patrick's good. I got this thing mailed to me from the airport. I got onto an airplane coming back from Charlotte. So keep in mind, I already went to Charlotte. Now I'm flying back, and I had a knife in my backpack, like my grandpa's like knife from like the 30s. In my backpack. And
it sounds like the setup for Swordfish. Did you ever see that movie, Swordfish?
No, I never saw that. It was a knife.
Well, that just shot me down. But okay, keep going.
So I have that in my bag, and I don't even realize it. I go through the X-ray, and she goes, "You got any knives in here?" I go, "No, I don't." She goes, "Oh yeah, what's this?" Pulls it out. Oh, except for the knife. Yeah. that knife. Yeah, that's not good. So I had to mail it back using the ridiculously expensive airport mail service. It was like
that's how they make all their money.
Yeah, it's like $40 or whatever, and I get it back, and the name on the box says Patrickle Britta.
And that's obviously not your name.
Not quite. Almost. So Patrickle works too. Is where I'm going with this. Patrickle. Yeah.
Patrickle. So I'm gonna say right now, and I'm just gonna clear the air. It took me 2.5 hours to get here today. and not just on top of that,
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, dude. I was driving. Anybody that's listening to the show and knows the area, I drove from Costa Mesa to Corona, and some ass backwards like freaking National Treasure route that Matt gave me on like how to get here. He's like, when the sun is at, when at 3:30, when the sunlight's hitting this, you're gonna take that road, and like that type of route.
I'm like Indiana Jones.
I didn't steal the Declaration of Independence, no, but
the treasure protector.
The 91 stole my soul, if that's anything like that. Dude, I tell you what, man. We'll get to that. Anyways, first off, Matt's known. I've had a tough week, man. So Tuesday, I wake up, stuffy nose. By about noon, I'm achy. I can't even move. I'm sick as shit. Take some NyQuil. We're good to go. Thursday. Okay, so that was Tuesday. I'm good to go on Wednesday. Thursday, I get to work. We have a bee infestation at my work.
What?
And I don't want to say where I work, but we had a bee infestation there. And when I say like it looked like a blanket of bees. I've never seen this many bees in my entire life. And they all just like congregate on this one tree branch. So you know how there's like always, anywhere you go, there's always like that old Hispanic guy that just knows everything. He's like, hey, he's like, you got a spot on your car. He's like, mijo, like, he's like, take a lemon, rub the lemon on the spot, and look, the spot's gone. And I'm like,
all the old tricks.
Yeah, knows everything, right? So he goes, he like courses me into it. I'm wearing a white shirt. He goes, no, you're wearing a white shirt. They won't bother you. He goes, we're going to put a bag over these bees, and I need you to stand at the bottom and cut the branch. And I'm like, okay. So I get under, I'm standing under, dude, the bees won't sting me. He puts the bag over, and he shakes the bag, and the bees fall on me like a shower of bees, dude. I got stung on my head. My head still hurts anyways. So it all leads up to my crappy week. It all leads up to my drive today on the 91. And first off, 91 East going into Corona, I swear I've never seen so many lifted trucks in my life, dude. It's like they migrate out. It's like the ancient herds, like they're migrating out in order to migrate in at the end of the feeding cycle. Like that's where they're at. So I'm parked waiting to get here. Dead stop traffic. There's an accident, and the car in front of me moves forward about 2 feet. And the lady behind me, I decided to look at my phone. I had a text message. The lady behind me honks her horn, but not like a little boop. You know what I mean? She like burn, like lays on it. And so I'm looking back, laughing at her, and I'm going, is this happening right now? Like, so I literally scoot my car up 2 feet and look back at her. Is this okay? Like, is this what you wanted? And anyways, that was pointless. I just want to talk about it because it all tied into my crappy week. Anyways,
that's good.
Patrick, Pat, the man, the myth, the legend.
Oh.
Solid introduction.
I'm not gonna lie.
That's all that needs to be said.
I first met Pat at our producer Matt's second bachelor party.
Yes, it was.
Right, second.
From what I remember.
From what he remembers, it was the second. And Pat and I didn't know anybody, and I think we were the only two like not drinking that night.
Yeah, I don't know why I wasn't, but I wasn't.
And so we bonded, and I followed him on Instagram, fanboy, and started following him on Facebook and anything. And I saw that he raced go-karts. And my first thing, please don't get offended when I say this, but
no promises.
My first thing is I was like, is this a joke?
Offended.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm offensed.
I was like, who's the guy raised at Boomers or something? Like, what is this? Like, and then you kept posting. I'm like, oh, dude, this guy's serious about his. So I went and asked Matt, and I was like, does Pat does he race go-karts? Like, what's the deal? So tell me about that. What is it exactly?
I get that a lot. People hear go-karts and they automatically go family fun center, Boomers, whatever. Maybe nowadays they might go, K1, which is a little better, I guess. But it's really karting goes deep in a lot of ways in that it can be everything from that.
So karting's the term?
Yeah, people tend to call it karting. Yeah,
okay.
Because you're going. That's implied. And it goes.
It took me a second.
I grow on you. It starts with like the family fun center stuff, where a lot of 5-6-year-old kids, whatever, get it, and it goes on up there from indoor karting and then what's called sport karting, which is what I've done the last few years, which is kind of an in between almost between indoor karting, which is like K1 and whatnot, up to competition karting, if you will, which is the 2-stroke like dirt bike engine shifter karts that are capable of well over 100 miles an hour on a bigger track, and pulling 3.5 plus G's through a corner, equal to that braking force. Like those are like the best drivers in the world that race Formula One, NASCAR, and all that race shifter karts in their spare time to stay sharp because it's more difficult.
So like, have you seen the movie Rush?
Yeah.
The one. Okay. So there was like the minor leagues of Formula One. Now you're talking to someone. I just know what I've seen on TV and read on the internet.
Yeah,
I don't know shit. So you got to help me out.
No problem.
So there was like I know baseball though. So there's like the minor leagues for baseball was like what he started at in that Formula One. I don't know what the proper term of it is. Do you know the term?
Yeah, you're right.
But whatever it's called. And then you work your way up to Formula One. Mm-hmm. Now, with the karting, is this a way? Can you work your way up to like NASCAR or?
Yeah, it's pretty much everybody that's a driver. I would say 95% of them start in karting, and in Europe and South America, 100% of them start in karting. Everybody goes through karting in everywhere except for the United States, and even here, most of them start in karting. So karting's kind of interesting in that that's kind of where everybody, like I said, starts, and they'll race there until they're usually a young teenager. And then they'll get into cars, which will be slower cars, which, Formula One is the pinnacle, let's say. Then there's things like Formula 2 is the next step below, or it's called GP2 now. Then there's other things like Formula 3000 on down to like what's called Formula V, which is literally a VW powered formula car, which uses the old Beetle engines basically. So it's like a 75 horsepower formula car. And that's kind of the first taste of car racing that a lot of kids get. So it's not dissimilar to baseball in that you start with Little League, if you will, which is karting, and you move your way up through until eventually you get, to the major leagues. The difference, though, is that there's more than one major league in racing. There's Formula One, there's NASCAR, there's IndyCar, there's NHRA if you're a drag racing person, there's dirt racing. There's just, it's all over the place. Everybody's heard of Formula One and NASCAR, the two biggest ones, but there's people that, nobody's ever heard of that are at what's considered the pinnacle of their particular racing, style, if you will.
Okay. So what does one do to get noticed in karting? Like, I mean, you post your pictures and you know, it looks like you got I mean, I'm not going to lie. I went on your Twitter today and I was trying to do some background on you, and I went on your website, which you kind of need to update that, bro. But
yeah, I started redoing my website like 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
and
good.
I started redoing. I mean, like I spent like an hour on it. Went, that's probably fine for now. Haven't touched it since.
Because I was like went under gallery, and it's like the gallery, and then like it had like different events, but there was no pictures.
Yeah.
So I was like,
it's strong website.
I'm like, what a great gallery. Okay, okay, I see what I'm looking at now.
Yeah.
But so what does? How does one get noticed? I mean, are there scouts? Like what?
Yeah, there is, and that's the $1 million question. I'm to be honest,
The $1 million question, not the
multi-million-dollar,
not the $1,000 question,
no,
not the
multi-million-dollar.
$1 million question.
A few millions, yes.
Oh.
So, like
Allegedly.
several.
What does a NASCAR driver make?
Anywhere from probably $300,000 a year up to 30 or 40 million a year. I
Like
would
the
say
top guys?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. probably makes. I'm just guessing here, probably 30 to 50 when you include endorsement deals and everything else.
What about like the Formula One guys?
About the same, actually.
Really?
They actually can make less. Some Formula One drivers don't make anything. They pay to have that ride. So they actually they come from rich families, or they've
It's like
got
a prestige thing, kind of.
Yeah, and their idea being like, well, I'll show them I'm good enough, and then I won't need these sponsors anymore, and then the teams will hire me and find their own sponsors, and really that's what it boils down to when you say getting noticed. It's money. It's whether you're impressing somebody that has money that's willing to spend it on you, or you come from money. If you're somebody who comes from an oil family, you got to have some talent, but you don't got to have a lot, and you can. It's really like a mixture, if you will. It's if you figure you got to be at 100% of whatever to get there, it can be 50% money and 50% talent, and you'll get there. Or it can be 90% money and 10% talent, and you'll get there. Rarely is it 100% talent anymore. That was the good old days, if you will. But
because wasn't that like the main thing in Rush? Like, didn't the American character Thor, didn't he have like he had no money? He was like pure like guts and grit, like got up there. But the other guy, his family had money, but he also had talent.
right.
So it was kind of like,
Yeah, Rush is the story of James Hunt and Niki Lauda.
there we go.
James Hunt being British. Americans close. Well, I mean, the ancestors of British.
No, we're
but,
not. Take it back.
So Hunt didn't really come from a lot of money. I don't know that much about his childhood or anything, but he impressed a rich, somebody of royalty, and his name escapes me right now, and I'm sure all my friends and Formula One fans are going to roast me when they hear this. And know that I don't remember his name.
Done.
Yeah, it's game over for
nice
me. I'm
knowing
getting
you, bro.
fired. It's going to be bad. But he, it's bugging me now. Like 20 minutes later, I'll be like, that was his name.
Go for it. When it hits you, just say it.
I will. So he impressed this guy who owned a really like backmarker Formula One team. So he puts him in the car, and he hits outside of their weight range, if you will. He doesn't win races with it, but he runs kind of mid-pack, which for a backmarker team is really strong. And then he gets picked up.
What is backmarker?
That means like they run in the back. They're perennially running 20th out of 20.
And there's teams that's their goal.
That's all they can afford to do, really, or it's all they have the ability to. This particular team was kind of there to party more than they were to race, so they just wanted to be a part of it. They didn't really care that much. They're buying other teams' old cars, and I'm sure they cared.
Were they having fun with it, or
I'm
is
sure,
that the whole point?
Yeah, I think that was the idea. And nowadays, it still happens for teams. They'll go out there and they'll make some money doing it. It's a business at that point, and they just park after a few laps and do it. It still happens, but it's just if. Somebody's got to be running in the back at some point. And it's always a team with the least amount of money for whatever reason. But then Hunt, got it. He impressed a team called McLaren, which is kind of one of the big two. Yeah.
See, I'm one of those guys, like, I'm going to break it down to you. I know just enough about cars to make it sound like I know something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know enough to, like, get in a conversation. So, like, I see, like, your Mopar hat, and I'm like, oh, okay, Mopar, like, engines, right? Like,
there you go.
But it's like, but I could look at you, and I could be like, yeah, nice hat, man. Mopar's a great engine, and walk away. And you'd be like, oh, that guy, okay. You know what I mean? But if you were like, yeah, what's your favorite block? I'd be like, like, so anyways, keep going.
Yeah, no, but that's really.
Does Mopar even make engines?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
keep going.
You're
all right.
You're on point with that one.
It's going in the right direction. We're going there. No, I mean, just to kind of put a point on that, I guess is really to get noticed. You've either got to have money, a supreme amount of talent, or both. In my case, I had a little bit of money and a little bit of talent, but not a lot of either.
But you had guts and glory.
Not a lot of glory so much, but
you had determination.
Some, not as much as No, regardless. If I did-
Almost had him going on it.
Thank you, though. No, the fact of it is like at 27 years old, it's kind of crazy to say like I'm already past the point where I'm gonna get anywhere. Even if I was extremely talented,
So
I'm too old to get anywhere. At this
really, that really surprises me. So age, like any sport, age is also a factor.
Yep.
What I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna ask you questions and I'm gonna kind of relate them to other sports, and that's kind of how I'm gonna like learn about this.
Let's do it.
So age is a factor in racing.
Mhm.
That blows me away. Why?
It's mental sharpness more than anything.
Really?
It's just the fact of, and race car drivers have a longer career span than pretty much every other sport. I mean, you can see Jeff Gordon's retiring this year after 20 years, and he's only 40-something years old. And that's a fairly short career for somebody as successful as he's been. But you look at baseball, 20-year careers, I'm sure it happens.
Unheard of.
I don't know that much about it, but it can't be common. So it's just the fact of it is he's still good. He's still winning races, but he's starting to get burned out on it. His just ability to win races is not as good as it once was. You kind of just lose the drive, I feel like, at a certain point. And then if you don't get started really, really early in NASCAR, in Cup racing, which is, Sprint Cup, which is the highest tier, the more seat time you have in those cars, the better of a driver you're going to be. It's just like anything. The more experience you have, the better. And where I relate that to baseball in that if you're playing in a park somewhere, it's still basically the same ball and the same glove. And I'm probably speaking a little bit out of ignorance here, but hopefully you can see where I'm going with it, is that it's still a baseball game at the end of it.
Right.
In racing, you don't have any experience in that particular kind of car until you are racing that car. They throw you in it, and maybe it's testing or whatever, but you have very limited amount of miles in that kind of car. A NASCAR vehicle, for example, having 800 plus horsepower, all the way up to that, you have less horsepower than that. You're gaining a little more as you move up the ranks. So you don't have any ability to practice this until you're there. And that's kind of the absurd thing about racing is there's probably some dude out there who's ridiculously good, but he's driving a tractor somewhere in Nebraska because nobody ever gave him a chance.
Interesting. So so I was actually thinking about this today because I'm always kind of a guy that I love to look at like performance enhancing drugs in certain sports and stuff like that. So, I mean, these dudes obviously aren't juicing to become better drivers, right? Or am I ignorant?
No, they're not, but there's been
I was thinking like Adderall or something like that. That's because you were just talking about mental toughness, and I was like, well, dude, I'd pop some Adderall and done deal.
I've heard rumors of that happening. I know that some drivers have been suspended from different forms of racing.
Is there drug testing?
Yeah, there's drug testing for just that. And they never really say what they get caught with, obviously, but that you got to think it only makes sense that something like that's relatively easy to get and not inherently illegal, or in any kind of way illegal, I guess. People do it. You're not allowed to do that in most forms of racing, but I'm sure people do it.
Now, what like back to like the whole age and everything playing into it, what is like the cutoff point to where you go like, okay, I've made it out of karting, and that's the popular vernacular, yes, karting.
You're good.
And when you go, okay, I've made it out of karting, now I feel like, I mean, so it doesn't even matter if you feel like you're ready to go. It's a matter of if somebody looks at you and goes, that guy's ready to go.
Yeah, somebody offers you the seat or offers you the money, you have to take it. And typically, like an example of this is there's a kid that's racing Formula One this year who's 17 years old. His name's Max Verstappen. He's never raced I might be speaking wrong. I don't know that much about this kid, but from what I understand, he's never raced a car in his life. He's raced he's raced cars his whole life, from the time he was probably 4 up until this past year. At 16 years old, he's going straight into Formula One, which is the top tier, and everybody thinks he's going to do well. So that's an extreme case of it, but that's also where Europe is a little bit more, I guess, I don't know what the right word for it is, but they don't put the pressure on moving up super early. Like in the U.S., if you're still racing karts when you're 13, you're pretty much too old.
Americans get shit done.
Yeah, basically. That's what it is. Gotta get some horsepower. So
get that boy a bigger engine.
that's true. What they say is like, I'm gonna totally butcher this saying, but it's like, I'm not even gonna try. I don't even remember what it is now. So that's good airtime. That's
you
good.
think I tease you and not take you all the way?
But, it's kids are moving out into cars at 13 years old, racing sprint cars or midgets, which are dirt cars. So they're like super high horsepower, really lightweight cars that race on dirt. which is insane car control, and that's like Jeff Gordon came from there, and a lot of the top guys came from there. They're racing that stuff at 14 years old, and it's just insane.
How much horsepower?
Anywhere from 300 up to 750. I mean, I don't think the 14-year-olds racing that, but
I think my Prius has like 130.
that's pretty good too. I mean, it's also got the electric boost though, right?
Yeah, it has a turbo button.
There you go. See?
It scares
Power
me.
mode.
It scares me.
Most of the way.
I don't want to press it because I don't know what'll happen. Like once this baby hits 88, you're gonna see some serious shit. Like,
Have you ever gone above 88 miles an hour?
oh, I've gotten like 120 in that car.
What?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say that, but no,
I mean, allegedly, right?
allegedly.
Downhill with a tail breeze.
Yep,
Drafting a semi, yeah.
driving to Lake Havasu on the 40 when there's that spot going into Laughlin. That was a good sit
That
there.
one went down the wrong. Whoa! I'm awake. Go on.
Got on the midnight moonshine. That's what I'm talking
It's
about
getting-
now, right
feel like
there.
midnight.
Ooh, starting to feel warm. That was going. There's like a spot on the 40 where it starts to like break downhill because you're going into Laughlin, and there was nobody on the road, and I was like, oh shoot, what this thing could do. So it's funny because I floor it, and then like you hear the hamster start running faster. You know what I mean? So like I floor it, it's like like getting up there, you know, and I'm like come on, like I'm watching it like climb, and like it's at like 99, like shaky, and it's like 100. I'm like, oh sweet, and then I started like going more and more downhill, and then I got it up to like 110, 115 or something like that, but I did it, and I've never done it
That's
again.
pretty quick. Is that the fastest you've been in a car that you were driving?
No. I was in a car one time with a friend. We'll keep him off the air, but he had a very expensive, very nice, high-end luxury Mercedes, like the V12, that bi-turbo one. What is that? The S?
Yeah, they did a few different models, but
SL
yeah,
55 or
something like that. It was the 4-seater one though. The one that could it has like Nuremberg times. Like
yeah,
it was like some unbelievable Mercedes. And yeah, he took me in that thing, and I think we got it up to like 150, 160. The speedometer went to like 190.
Yeah.
And he, I mean, you've probably gone way faster than that.
Not much.
But I was scared shitless. It
So
wasn't.
you saw 160 and you're like, that's probably good. I mean, the other 30's there. Like we
Well,
pretty much hit that.
Well, dude, you know what scares the hell out of me of that stuff? And it's not the car, and it's not the driver, it's not the horsepower or anything like that. What scares the hell out of me when it comes to going that fast is that it's like all it takes is like a nail in the road or something, and you're done. That's why if I knew if we lived in like a frictionless world where like cars hovered and I didn't have to worry about nails in the road or anything like that and blah, 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 I'd be doing 250, 300 miles everywhere I went. But the sheer like that factor of like one little rock tags you at, 180, because isn't it something like, I could be making this up, which I probably am, but isn't it something like every like 30 miles you go or something like that, the crash is like 15, 20 times worse or something like that?
I've heard that before.
It's like some weird statistic that like if you get physics.
Who
Thanks,
needs
bro.
that? Physics, yeah.
Thanks,
Is
bro.
that like a metric system?
I don't need that in America. Get out of here. I go by inches and I go by speed. All right, I don't need you telling me no Einstein. But what? So it's like. Obviously, like what Matt said, it's like hitting a wall at 30 is obviously a lot different than hitting a wall at 60. But also, if you're just driving in a straight line, blowing a tire at 30 is a lot different than blowing a tire at 60 or blowing a tire at 150 or 160 or whatever we were going that night. But yeah, it scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. There was the last time I did anything dumb like that, allegedly. Was
I think that's like the word of the show. I've had a couple people listen to this podcast, and like. The reviews I've heard from this, like they're like the first episode you smacked your lips a lot. They're talking to me. I did a lot of like that, like a lot. I don't know why I was doing it, and then the other one they said was allegedly and oversaturated in the first episode.
Really?
He was a guy I know was like, if I heard oversaturated one more time, he's like, I was gonna throw my phone out the freaking window. And I was like, oh well.
Oh, from Taylor.
From Taylor's
Yeah.
podcast, I was like, well, you know, we tried to oversaturate it with the word oversaturation. He's like, I just fuck you, and he walked away. And I was like, I'm just saying, man. So I told him we're working on it. I'm told, you know, we're figuring it
Work in
out.
progress.
It's a work in
That
progress.
pretty much always happens. The first time I ever did a commentary for a race, I kept saying definitely. I was working with a guy.
Oh, it's definitely the
Yeah.
fastest car out there. Definitely.
Yeah, no, it was exactly that. It was the guy that I was working with has announced for years and years and years, really well known in the karting community. And so I'm kind of staying next to him. And he's kind
No,
of
no, is this a big community?
in the industry.
Is there a
in the
Facebook group?
industry.
In the
Like-
biz. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, there are actually several Facebook groups. You should look into them. Pause for lap. Okay, so we're.
Matt will insert that in post production.
Oh, perfect. Just
we
a
should
terrible
have
laugh
like
track, just-
we should have like gallery laughing, like,
Yeah,
and
I
for
should
like
put
really
that in
bad
there,
jokes,
yeah.
just putting like some gallery laughing, like
Yeah,
bad
just a great laugh
bad
track.
sitcom, like.
Or just
And on the video, you can put. I don't know if you ever seen the video of like The Rock at like the Emmys or something. He's just like slow clapping, like happier he's ever been in his life.
I think there's a
so
meme
fr-
for that. Like,
Yeah, it's basically it. But so I'm calling this race, and he keeps asking me questions. He's like, so, and he's like totally like leading me on, I guess a little too much. Where he's like, so would you say that as they're burning gas off, the carts are going to get faster? Like, yeah, definitely. The cart's going to lose weight. And just every question's like, yeah, definitely. And I listened to it afterwards. I'm like, oh, that's so bad. But everybody's telling me how great it was. I'm like, no, you're a bunch of just assholes, man. Can I say assholes on this?
you can say whatever you want.
as
Oh,
Matt
shit.
as Matt stated in the last one, we are an explicit podcast, so you can say whatever the fuck you want, bro. I mean,
Good news.
nobody's stopping you, man. If you've been holding back, like,
Oh, no.
now's the time.
You just can't slander anybody. Or
What about you? Can I slander you?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool. Matt sucks.
Yeah,
There it
Well,
is.
you can say
everyone's
like,
entitled to their opinion.
no, you can't slander, but you can say like, look, I'm not talking shit, but in my personal opinion, I don't like that.
Yeah, as long as you preface it with in my own opinion.
Yeah, it's
fine.
my own opinion. It's not the opinion of this podcast, but in my own opinion.
I got a letter from Obama yesterday. Speaking
Ew.
of opinions. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
see, I knew I was going to get that reaction.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's probably going to happen to you, too. You're getting married. You're going to get a letter from Barry. I call him Barry. We're close. That's all. I'm not going anywhere with that.
I didn't get a letter.
He doesn't
What-
like you.
what did the
What'd
letter
you
say?
call him? A bag of what?
I don't recall.
Oh, okay.
He knows I voted Republican. He was like, yeah.
We're all Republicans here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, mostly.
Freedom isn't free.
That's right.
I read a whole, you know what? I read a
Freedom costs
whole,
$1.05.
I read a whole thing about libertarianism today, and I'm like, I kind of identify with it a little bit. Like, do you know like about libertarian? It's just like, did you watch Parks and Rec at all?
Yes.
Okay, Ron Swanson was a libertarian.
I love Ron Swanson.
Yeah, he just see exactly. You just validated my point. But it was like the whole idea that like really, 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 really small government. Like I have a gun. This
Like
is
how
my
small?
house. Like if you want to, like if you come into my house, I can shoot you.
But like how small of a government?
Like what?
How small of a government?
Very,
Like,
very,
like really,
Real
really,
Very.
really,
real
really,
small.
really small.
very small. Did I say really the first time and then I said
You
very
said
the
it
second
about
time?
6 times.
Well, yeah, bro, I was adding emphasis. Like, get away. so, but like, yeah, that's basically what it was, and it was like this whole article about
Lord
like,
Hesketh. That was his name.
there it is, finally, nice.
Wow.
I can't wait to listen to that back. That's gonna be a good one.
one. That's a solid.
Lord Hasketh. That's what it was.
Solid 15 minutes later.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, but it was like this whole like idea that like, because there was a whole article about cops, and if like a cop pulls you over, how you can be like, no, like I don't want you to search my car. It's
Right.
like, okay, get a warrant. You know, like make it as hard on them as possible, and most of the time they'll just give up, and they're just like, okay, this ain't worth it. You know, don't ever let them search your car or whatever. But and that was all like a sign of like the libertarian, like, you know what I mean? I got no problem with cops. I got friends that are cops. I got family that are cops. But yeah, there's shitty cops out there. I mean, there's shitty garbage men. There's shitty people everywhere. You know what I mean? But it was like a whole thing, and it was on Imager. You know, I spent a lot of time on Imager. Do you own Imager at all?
Mostly from Reddit, but yeah.
Yeah. So okay, he's
Yeah.
a pure blood. But
Our
but
podcast, I'm sure that's a thing, right?
but
It
so
actually is.
There you go.
what'd you say?
Our podcast.
It is a thing. We're in the iTunes store.
I saw that.
I put us on our podcast the other day.
Yeah. How many upvotes did you get?
No,
7?
0.
Well, you should have told me. I would have given you 1. You
Well,
gotta get that sweet, sweet karma, bro.
Well, when I release this podcast, I'll let you know.
I was taking people's phones today, and I was subscribing to us on their phones.
On iTunes.
Yeah.
Make sure you do it on YouTube too.
Yeah, well, I didn't get to YouTube. I was just like, I didn't have enough time. But let me see your phone real quick. I want to check something out. And I would like go into their podcast little thing and I'd click on it and I'd subscribe to us.
The app that hardly anyone uses.
Nobody knows about it, but I was subscribing people.
No one knows about it, but you can't delete it.
Dude's gonna get home and his chick's gonna look at his phone and be like, "Why is this app open? Like, what were you doing on podcasts?" And like, anyways. But so it was on Imager. And it was this whole article, and the people there, like, Imager, like, Reddit, it's like a really fickle community.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one day they like dogs, one day they hate dogs. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's a really brutal. So it was a whole article about how to, like, avoid, like, confrontation with cops. Not just avoid them, but just get out of trouble, like, with your rights. Like, your simple rights. Like, you know, like, no, I don't, like pleading the fifth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't have to incriminate myself. Like, I don't want to get out of my car. I don't want to do this. Am I being detained? And the comments were all like, "Oh, you cop hater." Like, it's like, no,
What?
I don't hate cops. I'm just saying, like, you have rights. Like, you should know your rights. And
For shame, internet. You're not the internet I love.
I know, right? The internet's it's
Yeah.
getting bad out there, bro.
It is.
I try to stay away from Tumblr and all that crap.
Oh
But
God, Tumblr's become just the bane of my existence. We're gonna get all the fatties on here, just calling me like a shithole or what do they call it, a shitlord.
I don't know. A shitlord.
Yeah, if you hate fat people, and like I'm not the thinnest dude in the world. But
If you hate fat people, you're a shitlord.
That's a new one.
I've never
yeah,
heard
no,
that.
look it
that
up. Just
before.
look up like Hamplanets. Like that's a really like fat person.
Hamplanets.
We're gonna have a
Yeah.
whole like social justice warrior.
Oh, dude, it's
like,
gonna be bad.
dude, we're just get ripped
God,
apart.
This is the second episode that the social justice warriors are coming out.
I know, I'm telling you, dude.
They're gonna be like, listen, shitlord, my body is beautiful. I run 75 miles a day, and the fat doesn't burn off because my body type is like that. Like,
Genetics.
yeah, right. Yeah, they'll start shouting genetics at me. Like, no, how about you just say, I like being fat because cheeseburgers taste good. Right on. I can dig that.
Well, there's that whole thing, like, there's that picture going around, and it was on Reddit for a while, too. And it was a picture, and it was, like, this, like, 600-pound woman. And she was, like, reaching
hot.
into a fridge, and the fridge was full of soda. And there was, like, one of those, like, pizzas that's the size of, like, a Volkswagen on the table. and she's holding the pizza, and it's, like, it's just my genetics. Like... And I was like, oh man, but like I've read, but like, yeah. So what I've read on that website, like, it was the whole thing. I read this blog about this girl, and she got into the whole fat shaming thing.
Yeah.
But she was overweight herself, and she wasn't fat shaming. She was going against the people that were fat
gotcha,
shaming.
okay.
But like what she was saying to the people was like brutally offensive.
Right.
Like, you know, and like, oh, you're white, like, you know, dumb Caucasian,
Right.
like, but I'm fat, like, you can't make fun of me. And it's like, wait a minute, where does
Right.
and that's the thing I think with those social justice warriors is that it's like they can sit there and criticize you and like and rip you apart until you say something logical back, and then it's like,
Well, that's our white male privilege.
oh,
talking.
I'm privileged all day, bro. Shit, man.
Oh, this
Yeah,
is giving me
God.
an aneurysm.
I know, like,
We gotta
it
get-
hurts my head.
We got to get off the Tumblr arena.
Like
Fucking-
I can't go through, like, they do on Imager, they do like the Tumblr arguments, and I can't like read them because they're so stupid.
It hurts my
Everybody out there, I suggest you like Google Tumblr arguments and just start reading some of them, and just prepare your brain for like I can't. It hurts. It makes me angry.
Yeah, smoke a lot of weed first.
I don't know that I wanna.
Just get really high.
Look that up.
Just get really high, and
I can't
I
do
don't want to
that.
offend.
I get drug tested at my work. I can't do that, but I'm
Okay.
not a big fan of it anyways, because back in the day when I was way younger, I did it, and I remember like it made me super paranoid.
Yeah, same.
And like I know that like I think that runs in my family, like paranoia or something like that.
Oh,
I don't know for sure. I could be talking out of my ass, but it made me super paranoid, and I hated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never. I never was like in a drive for me. Like people love it. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. People love to smoke weed, and it's one of those things where I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And everybody's, oh, pussy. And I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with being a pussy. I just don't want to do it. Like,
Yeah, no, I
it's
used to be afraid to leave the house. I'd be like, dude, we can't get in a car. We're
Would you
going
say
to
that
die.
your paranoia is oversaturated.
I would say it's oversaturated, allegedly. Got to mix it all in there at once.
Gotta just do it.
As many things as we can. Oversaturated and allegedly. Okay, so how much money is in like the kart world? Like when you think of something like sponsors, let's say, okay, and you look at Formula One sponsors, and you look at Mobile One, Rolex, Cartier, like all these big wigs. I mean, is like what's in like, I wouldn't even say karting like McDonald's. I don't want to be offensive, but that's a really
No,
big
yeah, no.
sponsor. Like what kind of sponsors sponsor karting? Like
I mean, I'd love to be sponsored by McDonald's.
like gyms like Gas Shack. Like
no, I mean it's some of that. Really, karting is weird in that there's not as much sponsorship going around with that. It's more kind of coming from money. There are people that are kind of scrapping their way up there that get sponsored by like the local fish market, for example. He's been watching this, and yes, I'm talking to you. It's he'll know who I'm talking
Can
about.
you look like directly into the camera?
I did.
Okay.
I broke the fourth wall just straight down.
Thank you.
I love
And
that. I like this guy.
and
He's a good guest.
you just tell your friends. So and
You're off the market, brother.
not for men.
That's a good point. It's a good point. I'll allow that. Is it cheating if it's with a dude?
No, only if you're self-conscious.
I haven't
Wait.
heard that one before.
Only if you're self-conscious. I thought it was only like if you made eye contact or if you fell in love or.
No, you can do your thing. Do what? You can do your thing. I was gonna say do
Wait.
your thing or do what you do.
You could do my thing.
You can, see, there it is.
Well, it wasn't like the Greeks. Like it wasn't homosexual to like.
Yeah, until Christianity took over.
It was like-
made it wrong.
It was like power. It was like powerful. Like it
Right.
gave you more like having sex with a man wasn't like it is now. It was like, oh hell yeah.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
just-
If you were plunging a dudede's butt, it was like apparently you were just dominant.
Wow,
I guess.
there it is.
Well, I mean that's what my history book said. I think it said plunging a man's butt. Okay.
Was that McGraw Hill? It was. Which
maybe.
which edition was that? Prentice? I don't know.
All right, that is a reference.
That's a hell of a reference.
You
How
like
do you
that?
remember
Yeah,
that?
you like that? Dude, my brain. Okay, let me tell you something about my brain. And you can ask my fiance this too, but my brain works in the weirdest way. And I went to an all-boy private Catholic high school.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, I learned a lot. Like I got really educated there. And then I watched a lot, and it sounds stupid and it sounds really dumb, but I love The Simpsons.
Me too.
And it's an incredibly educational show. And I would always watch Jeopardy with my dad, and I would know answers.
Right.
And my dad's like, "How do you know that shit?" And I was like, "Simpsons, dude.
Right.
In this episode, they did this, and blah, blah, and that's how I knew the episode." And my dad was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" But and I always loved to learn. And it wasn't until my last year at a junior college when I realized that I liked to learn. I was kind of just like one of those kids where I was like, this is stupid. Why am I in
Right.
school right now? And then my grades were always like middle of the road, like C's and stuff. And then like my last year at junior college, I had straight A's because I was doing what I wanted to do and I was learning what I wanted to learn.
Okay.
I was like out of the prereqs that I had to take.
Sure.
Which don't get me. Now you're getting me on something else because that is my big.
And it's your fault.
It's all your fault. But that's my whole thing too with like the American. We talked about this the first podcast I think or whatever. But like the American educational system, how it's like you have to take these
Briefly
classes.
touched on that.
Yeah, you have to take these classes in order to go on to like classes you want to do.
Right.
It's
yeah.
like no. It's like if I want to build cars, why do I have to take whatever class, English lit? Like
Right.
I don't need English lit to work on a car engine. I need to be taking metal shop and you know what I mean, like automotive and.
Did they teach you how to do your taxes?
No, we talked about that in the first
Oh, did
episode.
you?
I was
yeah.
like, I didn't learn how to.
Subconscious.
I didn't learn exactly. I was like, I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook,
Right.
which
yeah.
I need. Like I didn't
Right.
learn. I didn't learn how to invest. Like I didn't learn anything, and that's
Yeah.
like nothing that relates to real world. And that's the thing that like other countries do is like, and the other thing too is like homework. It's like no,
Right.
teach me everything I need to know, and while I'm in my designated learning area. Like
Right.
don't make me go home and do a bunch of stuff I don't want to do when I'm
Yeah.
trying to have fun and I'm
I'm
trying
the same way. Like I love being in the classroom environment and soaking up all the information. But when it comes to like making me spit it back out at you, I can't stand it. Like testing.
Testing
Yeah.
is the most
Cannot
ridiculous thing on this
stand it.
planet.
Yeah.
I read a quote. I forgot who said the quote. So don't fault me. But it said something like, testing just shows that you care more about the student's ability to like regurgitate information and not retain it. Because how many times did you like when you studied for a test and they gave you a study guide and you just learned the answers and then went in there and just shit the answers on the paper and did not care about what you were doing?
And then the next day, it's completely gone.
Didn't care about it.
You
Yeah.
would not
Did
be able
not
to take
care
that
about
test
it.
again.
Nope. And that's why like in Europe it's I know this for a fact, but also Laura's my fiance. Her brother actually studied at Oxford, and when they do exams over there, they go, okay, here's the book. You know, you got 6 weeks. Read the book, and then your final is to sit down with me for 2 hours and talk to me about the book. And that's the class. That's how you learn.
That's cool.
And it's a pass or fail. So you sit down with the professor, and he's just like, so what'd you think about the book? You go, well, you know, I really liked in chapter 1 how they did this, and I really liked the how they did this, and what this meant, and what the symbology behind this. There's really like nothing wrong. There's no wrong way to do it, as long as you read the book and you understood like the base concepts. And that's one of my big things that I always got in a fight with in like my junior year. We had my junior year in high school. We had this professor, and I mean this teacher, and he was a new guy fresh out of college. He was like, we were 18 and he was 24. Fresh, right? Oh, dude, we got him to quit. It's really sad.
That sounds awful.
But like because we're an all boy, we were rowdy, dude,
Sure.
and we ripped this guy apart and he quit. But anyways, he would always say like, okay, so we were like reading The Great Gatsby, you know, and he'd be like, okay, so The Great Gatsby, you know, Daisy's sash was blue and blah blah blah. I'm like, maybe F. Scott Fitzgerald just wanted to be blue,
right?
Like, there's no hidden symbology in this sash.
She was
all.
Totally depressed, man.
Yeah, like no,
yeah.
but not even that, dude. Like
color blue. It's fine.
dude, that's one of the biggest things that I have that I can't stand about education. Like when it comes to that, it's like, well, what's the hidden meaning?
Right.
It's like there is no hidden meaning, dude. The sky is black because it's dark out, and the car is red because the guy he looked at a red piece of paper, and that's what he decided to make the car in his book.
Didn't the Beatles write a song specifically for this? Like I'm the Walrus, isn't it written so that English teachers will try to dissect it, but it's just a bunch of bullshit?
Oh, really?
I'm pretty sure that was the whole point of that song, is to make English teachers' heads explode.
Well, there's a guy that we went to high school with. He's actually going to be on the podcast soon. His name is David. But
saying that a lot.
What? I know we need to have him on. I keep saying it.
You also need to probably just not say, oh, he's going to be on the podcast. You said that 5 times last episode.
Oh, did I really? Okay, I'll cut that out then. I'm sorry. Well, it's learning. We just said it's
on the podcast.
We just said
over here.
Yeah, we just said it's a learning process, dude. I'm not trying to alienate you.
No, that was overkill. I'm sorry.
But yeah.
To throw you under the bus and
Hey, you know, call me out. It's cool, bro. Anyways, he wrote this paper. He ended up going to LMU for psychology, I think was his major. But he wrote this paper.
He's a psych major?
You didn't know that?
No,
he has a degree in psychology.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that what psych is short for?
I would say that explains a lot, but it doesn't explain anything.
Dude, that's why like he always tries to sit down and like analyze you. Like he'd be like, so tell me about your day. And you're like, well, I woke up, and he goes, oh. And what were you feeling? You're like, I don't know, hungover. Like, what do you like? What am I supposed to feel? But anyways, so he wrote this paper, and because you had to have like one of the teachers had to like recommend you, and he was a brilliant writer, and he wrote this paper, and it was called The Beast, and it was about like a '67 Chevelle, but she took this whole like, oh, the love between the man and the woman, it's so magical. And Dave was like, yeah, whatever, dude, just get me into LMU. And like then like at the end, after he passed everything, he was like, it was about like a '67 Chevelle. And she was like, no, it's not about a car. And he's like, I wrote it. Like, it's about a car. But you know, that's why it was funny.
That's
because
hilarious.
Because it just shows like it's art and it's what you want it to be.
Yeah.
But when people try to like,
that's one of the things that I've never really understood, and it's partially why I decided to go into engineering and not history or English or any of that crap. It's the fact that they ask you as a student, the teacher asks you your opinion about a certain subject, and you state your opinion, and then they tell you you're wrong.
Like, no, you're wrong. And then she yelled at me, and I peed my pants.
I still wear my pee pants.
I still wear my dirty pee pants.
That's funny that you say that about him writing the book about the car. Because when we took standardized testing in high school, it literally gave us this prompt where it was like, write a story, like a 4-paragraph story about your ideal horse. And I'm like, what? Why do I? Okay. So I wrote about like a '68 Mustang. And like I was talking about like how bright colored it is and how loud. And like I got an A on that. And everything else was like a D. And they're like, that was really good writing. Like, you're really passionate about horses. I'm like, yeah, certain kinds. With the 4 headlights on the horse.
But it's true. It's just, I don't know.
2 headlights, I'm sorry.
It's just, but that's the thing. And that's like, we're the only country that does that.
Yeah.
I think we're the only country that tests. Like,
Standardized testing?
Standardized testing.
I'm not sure.
Why don't you know?
Yeah, you have the laptop. Google it.
Hold on, let me fact
Jeez, don't we pay you for
Well,
something?
he's checking that.
And
Yeah, I mean, did you know that Fozzie Bear and Kermit the Frog are twin brothers?
No.
They really are. I learned that today on Reddit. That there's like in like when what is it Muppets Go to Manhattan or whatever.
Is that the new one?
I think it's the one from like the early 90s or late 80s
Oh,
or
okay.
something. And there's like a scene where like I guess they show their dad multiple times. He's like a green bear, but like has the Kermit the Frog like necklace thing on. And he probably does that too.
Do you do a good Kermit impression? You try to start it there.
I might be able to.
I heard it. I heard it come out a little bit.
I can't do the Kermit. I can do a few others, but not that one. But there's like a kid walking by and like with a dad, and he's like, "Oh, look at that bear!" And looking at Kermit the Frog, and the dad's like, "It's not a bear. It's not wearing a hat." It's like, of course, because that's the difference apparently. In the whole movie, it goes through referring to Kermit as a bear, except he's not wearing a hat. I've never seen that movie, so I was really confused.
And what was the other thing I wanted you to bring up?
I don't remember, Matt. Do you remember? What was the other thing we wanted to talk about?
Kermit the Frog.
Let's talk about this whiskey that we're drinking right now.
Yeah.
So Four Roses. Once again, we're not sponsored by them.
Let's preface this. So starting this episode, we're gonna start a new segment, and I know this kind of goes against the standard of being completely unscripted, but we are gonna have one segment, and we're just gonna talk about whatever whiskey we're gonna be.
Okay, let's just be real to our podcasters. Let's just be real to them. We had a couple people that said, your show's called Whiskey Babble. Why don't you talk about whiskey on it? And I was like, well, it's kind of a good point. So we decided to talk about it a little bit. So I got the Four Roses website here, and I'm reading we're drinking the small batch, which I'm a big fan of small batches and single barrels. If anybody wants to send us presents, you can easily email us, and we will give you an address.
The address is whiskeyBabble@gmail.com. It's also in the description.
It's also in the description, whiskeyBabble@gmail.com. Anyways, so Four Roses. It's a small batch. Mingling multiple bourbon recipes is an art itself. 4 original and limited bourbon recipes have been expertly selected by our master distiller at the peak of maturation to create a perfectly balanced small batch bourbon that rewards you with a mellow symphony of rich, spicy flavors, along with sweet, fruity aromas and hints of sweet oak and caramel. Finished is soft, smooth, and pleasantly long. Best enjoyed straight up, on the rocks, or with a splash. So
that's impressive.
Well, you know what's funny? Here's the thing about whiskey, is that I like small batch, but I couldn't tell you why. Does that make sense? I don't know what separates a small batch from another whiskey. I just know that every time I drink a small batch, I really love it. And every time I drink like a single barrel, I really love it compared to like other whiskeys. I couldn't tell you like, oh, a small batch is actually aged, 8 months less than the regular one. Or I couldn't tell you any of that crap.
From my understanding, the difference between standard bourbon whiskey and a small batch bourbon is like, say, for example, Jack Daniel's, the normal old number 7, is actually
America.
If
America drank a whiskey.
Jack Daniel's.
Jack Daniel's.
Jim Beam.
Woo!
they distill it and then they age it in the barrels. But once it's done aging, they take all of those barrels and basically pour it into a big vat, and then it's bottled. So it's like a mix of a lot of different batches. Where small batch or single barrel implies that it's from one barrel. It's not mixed with a ton of other stuff.
But what's the difference between those two? Because that Jefferson Reserve that we had last week was single barrel, small batch.
I'm not sure.
That was both of them.
I just know that's the difference between like small batch and single barrel versus regular bourbon. That regular bourbon is a mix.
I learned something today.
Interesting.
That is. Oh.
So we got to come on the show. You got to learn something.
Yeah, learn something about single barrel versus vat whiskey.
Yep. So what's that car you're rebuilding? What is that?
It's a '75 Chrysler Cordoba. It's outside.
No big deal.
You
want to see it? I can show it to you.
And you heard right. I said Cordoba. I thought Charger, Challenger, Cuda, all too passe. So I went Cordoba. Everybody always knows that as the car that in the '70s that they advertised as having rich Corinthian leather.
Right.
I saw your hashtag on the on the old IG. That's Instagram for the lay. But
strong. I promptly ripped out all the Corinthian leather because it was a disaster, and I don't have
Did you
the
make
money
wallets
or
something?
effort.
Or holsters?
I sold the seats. I should
Man.
have done just that.
Rookie.
I know.
Hey, Bush League.
Nope. Hey, the back seat's still Corinthian. I dyed it red because it matches. But all right, we'll make some real Whiskey Babble wallets. Out of
Oh,
fine
that'd be pretty
Corinthian
sweet.
leather.
Out of fine
go.
Corinthian leather.
It's
Oh, that'd be pretty
begins.
bad.
Out of 70s Corinthian.
There it is. But the car basically underneath is the same car as a Charger. But it doesn't have the name Charger on it, so nobody really wants it. So all the go fast stuff and handling parts and brake stuff and all that, it's all the same. So
much torque.
some torque.
The chassis twisted off the line.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Bullshit, asshole. Nobody likes the tuna. Here.
Bullshit, asshole. Nobody likes the tuna here. Dude, I almost had you.
Hey, rest in peace, Paul Walker.
Hey, rest in peace, Paul Walker, dude. Rest in peace. Bullshit, asshole. No one likes the tuna here. No, what'd you say? He goes, I almost had you. He goes, almost had me? Almost had me? Let me tell you something. You ask any racer, any real racer. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning. It's just like I did.
Inspirational.
You know what's funny? I say that quote like 3 times a week. Like it's like it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, bro. Winning's winning. Like
I just mostly quote Talladega Nights at this point. That's about.
you can have any
Oh,
beer
okay.
you want as long as it's a Corona. Want to go fast?
Don't you stick that knife in your leg? Gotta cut around the meat.
Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby?
Don't you put that evil on me. I hope you have beautiful, articulate children and that they lose their legs.
You know what, dude? Okay, let me tell you something about Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell, I thought Talladega Nights was hilarious, and I cannot stand him in any other movies. I think he's the exact same character in every movie. If you
a lot of those guys,
Vince
I
Vaughn.
feel-
You don't like Vince Vaughn?
I do not like Vince Vaughn movies.
We talked about this already, didn't we?
Off the air, but yes.
Off the air, where like Family Guy did that thing, and it was like Vince Vaughn and Susan Sarandon starring in 2 people that look like they never sleep. Did you see that one?
I think the only Vince Vaughn movie I've ever seen was Wedding Crashers, and that's mostly because my taste for Rachel McAdams far outweighs my distaste of
And
Vince
you know
Vaughn.
what?
Don't find her attractive.
You know
I
what?
don't know if we can be
Wedding
friends.
Crashers is one of the only Vince Vaughn movies that I'll watch.
I liked the internship. But see, but we talked about it when he constantly does that whole like okay, we're here, we're thinking, we're moving forward, we're
Yeah.
friends, and we're moving forward, and we're doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this in
That's
every
what kills it for
movie
me.
for like 15 minutes out of the hour and a half long movie. He's doing that kind of like
And that's exactly what kills it for me.
You ever seen Boiler Room?
Boiler
I
Room.
think that's one of his older ones. It's a little bit more dramatic. It's actually that was good.
Was that no? What was the? Didn't he do one with John Favreau? Didn't he do Swingers? Wasn't that with John Favreau?
Maybe
John Favreau.
I'm not up to
not
date
a
on my
movie
Vince
buff.
Vaughn knowledge.
And they're like young kids, and I want to say it was Swingers.
That sounds right. I can picture the movie poster in my head. I think.
Yeah. The blocks are like all off like different like colors, like
Nope,
really
that's
60s.
not the one I'm saying. Nope.
Oh, okay, well.
It sounds familiar.
See, this isn't happening. Like,
This is going well.
Do I need to cut this whole segment out?
no, dude, keep it in here. This is all
What
about
was
it.
this segment about again?
I don't
What
even
are we
know,
talking-
man.
Well, we were talking about whiskey.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Are we done with that portion of the show now, or?
I mean, it's good. Like, it does. I mean, like, let me take a sip and I'll analyze the flavor. Hold on a second here. It is warm.
Hmm.
You can taste the caramel. How do you say it?
I say caramel.
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 So you didn't even
fine, bro.
pronounce that second A.
Oh, fuck that A. And in
So-
particular,
so
I
what
want
do
to
you,
get a double
I
entendre.
also say caramel.
caramel,
Mhm.
but it's spelled caramel.
Caramel, yeah.
That's correct.
Don't try to pretty it up, boy. It's caramel. Like-
Give him my PBR.
Try this one. Tell me what you think.
Let's see.
What's that quote? You stick something on a pig, it's still a pig.
You can't put lipstick,
lipstick
on a pig.
it's still
And my
a
dad
pig.
always says you can't paint a shit gold. I was like, well, that's a good point. Like,
I don't care for that.
really?
Well, you can try my apple pie if you'd like.
Four-
Either
Four
one.
I've
Roses
polished
is
off a bottle
one
of
Oh,
that.
there you
the
go. You're all right. Then.
Better small batches that I've had.
No, it's good.
It's
I really like it. I mean, look at how much is gone.
Yeah.
So obviously someone's been drinking it.
Yeah.
This guy.
I get the like for it. I get why you guys like it. Ain't for me. It's just too like.
You know, it's
Pinky up.
it's like a
Really?
It's just too.
Wow.
My palate's not diverse enough to really appreciate
Not everybody likes straight.
Well, this
bourbon.
is a guy that goes, this guy can't tell the difference between I want a PBR and I want a Coors. So, I
that.
mean,
Yeah, it's true. Actually, Miller. As long as it's not Miller Lite, I'm pretty much all right.
wow. Don't try to class it up here with the Miller Lite.
Miller High Life is.
High life.
That's where it's at.
God.
What do they call that? The champagne of beers.
The champagne.
Champagne
Yeah.
beers. Yep.
Well, we can't get rid of the A in caramel, so how can we get rid of the G in champagne?
Well, because one's
Shrimp.
French and one's not.
Well, so then one's
What's
gay
the
and
what's
one's
the
not.
what's the lineage of caramel?
Hold on.
Google that. Let's see where that word
Fact
comes
check.
from.
Oh, by the way, bringing it back full circle, there is standardized testing in other countries.
Really?
Which ones?
From what I've found, at least China and South Korea.
Do we really want to be? I've been to South Korea, but do we really want to be associated with those two?
I'm
Well, I'm pretty
don't know
sure-
if there are more. I'm sure there are more.
I'm pretty sure China like holds all of our debt. So
It's
like
It's like the iron industry or some shit now.
like all no really though. Like
yeah, no.
that
no.
whatever $1 trillion we owe, we owe that to China, don't we?
Oh, I
Right?
know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's a lot more in depth than that, but that's kind of like the
I know pretty much like all the metal comes from China now 'cause it's gotten cheap. So it always reminds me of that Simpsons episode where Homer thinks Bart's gay, and they go to like the steel mill, and it turns into a gay nightclub.
Yes.
at night.
yes. What was the song? Think of the
Everybody
song.
dance now.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Everybody dance now.
I think so.
And then it was like the dun, and then it was like
Yeah.
them banging the
Dun.
hammers on steel. And like, yeah.
My favorite part is the dude walking around with a big vat of acid. And he's like,
Hot stuff coming through. Because it was like this jacked. There's like, have you seen that episode?
No.
So okay.
Giant man with a mustache.
Like this, just like this is alpha male dude, like big, but obviously cartoon drawn, but this big alpha, and he's got this big vat of like melted ore, like and he's walking, and they're like, yeah, you know, it'll take you to the straightest place I know, a steel mill, and then this guy, hot stuff coming through, and he's got this big like.
Like, Homer, you can't take. I can't do a very good Moe impression, but you can't take Bart to the steel mill. That's more like Barney.
Homer.
I can't even do this.
That was
Barney.
Barney.
I can't do any impressions,
Nah,
man.
not like Barney from Simpsons. More like Barney.
Like the purple dinosaur.
Yeah.
Or like, okay. Like,
Don't cry for me. I'm already dead.
that was on point. Oh my god.
It was. Or Barney's what is that? I want to put it right in my veins.
Right when he gets like the
The lifetime supply of Duff.
right. Get straight up to my veins. By the way, I just got a text on my Android Wear from my wife saying farted. That's all it says. I'm assuming she's talking about your son,
Probably.
but it just
She
says,
said it farted.
no, it just says farted.
Ah.
So she's gonna kick my ass. That's fine. It's funny.
Oh, dude,
Farted.
the first podcast we did, so we did it in my apartment, and we didn't let my fiance know that we were doing the podcast. Well, she knew we were doing the podcast,
Uh-huh.
but like she had no
She
idea
didn't
like
know that this
we'd
was
have the
the
lights and
setup for the
everything set up,
podcast.
dude.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, bro! Like
That sounds great.
She just walked in. It was just that look. You know how women
Yeah.
give that look, and it's just I knew
It's
I
not
was
good.
screwed.
Yeah.
I knew I was
I
screwed.
know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, no, I don't.
What?
Wink if you need help.
Like, so what kind of engine do you have in that Cordoba?
It's a 360 cubic inch small block Chrysler. It's kind of just mildly warmed up because I wanted it to still be. I still wanted it to be streetable in a good way, not something that's just like constantly loading up, which basically means that it's if the camshaft is too big in it, it basically it makes it so that if you're not going full throttle enough, the carburetor basically loads up with fuel, and this is really like, for lack of a better way to put it, dumbed down version of this. But it loads up with fuel and then it doesn't want to go and it fouls out spark plugs, which basically means the spark plug's not sparking anymore, and it's bad times. So I want it to be a fun, like, streetable car. My last car was a Chevelle that was way over the top and was no fun to drive on the street.
and hardly ever ran.
It never ran. It was a
Ever.
pile of garbage. I'm not a Chevy person at all.
It's a Chevy.
It's a Chevy. That's a Chan. So this one, I've still got some ways to go on it. I don't know how far I'm going to get. It's not going to be a car I keep for 20 years or anything like that.
Hot stuff coming through.
I'm going to lose my shit. There's this new 3-wheeled car. It's a motorcycle.
Yeah, doesn't Rob Dyrdek have one?
He might. I don't know.
The what's it called?
There's a few of them out there.
T-Rex.
There's
Yeah.
that. This one is the T-Rex is like an $80,000 car for like no reason. There's a new one from Polaris called the Slingshot, and it has
Engaged.
it kind of looks like a T-Rex, but it's registered as a motorcycle, which means you got to have a motorcycle license to drive it,
Really?
and you got to wear a helmet. Yeah, but it's only like 15 grand, or no, it's like 18 grand to buy, which for a
Wow.
brand new car like this is not bad. And it's got the Chevy engine, the same thing that was in the Pontiac Solstice, if you remember those,
Really?
and the Saturn Sky.
Interesting.
So it's
I
like,
have a Saturn Sky.
do you really?
My dad won one at an Angel game.
Is that real life?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
He
My mom has that car. It's
really?
fun.
No, what
I
a,
like
what a
that car.
crazy world. You know, he did this thing, right? My dad's like has a lot of mottos in life. You know, shit in one hand, want in the other. See which one fills up first. I'm like, all right, Dad. like,
I need to meet your dad.
oh, you need to, dude. Picture me, but just like older and wiser, and
When is
like
he gonna be on the podcast?
I want to have him on the
I
podcast,
need to have him on the podcast.
dude. I want
Can
to
I
hear
just
some
sit
of his.
back there and watch?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to hear some of his stories from when he was back, like with the post office and like running his own departments and stuff. Like some of the shit he saw, dude. Anyways,
Special 2-hour-long episode.
so that was right. So that was one that shit in one hand, want in the other. And then wait, what did you say? Because I was gonna say a quote about it,
Oh fuck! What were we talking about?
and I said my dad had a quote for that. Oh, okay. So the Sky.
Yeah,
So
right.
Yes.
so they were doing that thing where you would drop your ticket stubs,
Uh-huh.
and my dad, my whole life, dude. You got to play to win. You know, that's what he always said. Like, you'd be like putting like his last dollar into like a slot machine.
Right.
You got to play to win. You know,
Oh my
like
God.
okay, Dad. So he would drop his ticket stubs in the back, and you know you'd write your name on the back and everything. Gets a call one day, and they go, "Hey, congratulations! Like you're one of the top 3 to win this car," and blah blah blah. So they have him backstage at the Angel game. We're all there, and he's backstage, and you draw like your number out of a hat, which one you're gonna go, and he had the choice to pick first, but there's 2 women with him, and my dad is like, you've met my dad. He's like the nicest gentleman you'll ever meet. He's like, please let those 2 ladies go first, like you know, women first, blah blah blah. So you know, one picks number 2 and one picks number 3. And my dad gets number 1,
Right.
and he's kind of like shit. Because they want to draw it out. They don't want number 1 to win. You know, that's bullshit. So they bring them all out on the field or whatever, and you wait for your garage door to open, and if the garage door opens in the car, you win. So his garage door in the car was in there. He won the car.
Amazing.
He was like, he won a Saturn Sky. He was like,
incredible.
what the hell? It's parked in the garage. The license plate, I probably shouldn't say the license plate.
Don't do
But-
it. Don't do it.
But the
Is
license
it
plate.
patriotic?
No, it has to do with the Angels because
Oh, okay.
it won it from the Angels. But he had all the interior custom done like Angels colors, and like, dude, it's and it's this thing, and it sits on 20s.
No.
Oh, dude, it's
no.
dirty, and it's got a full JBL like major sound
Yeah.
system with 2 10s in the trunk.
Oh my
like
God.
this thing bumps, dude. Like,
hilarious.
How often does he drive it?
he's been driving a lot lately because he got the Tundra, and then if he has to work like down in like San Onofre or whatever, he'll take it down there rather than drive the Tundra. And him and my mom will drive it. They have a house out of the desert, so he'll drive it sometimes when they go out to the desert with top down or whatever. But he drives it quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's an 07, and I think it has like 9,000 miles.
That's a lot like my mom.
Yeah, right?
She never drives that thing. Yeah, no, well, we're getting back to the original topic,
Yes.
which has been rare for this, but it's got the same engine, which in the Saturn or the Pontiac, it's not incredibly fast. It's not bad, but this thing's not, since it's a motorcycle, it doesn't have airbags. It doesn't have any safety stuff at all.
America.
Yeah, that's right. So it weighs I think sub 2,000 pounds. So with I think it's 200 something horsepower. So that's right there on my list. The thing is, it's 3-wheeled, and that sounds fun though. I'm just in. Just have to wear a helmet just to
Is
drive
it
to work.
3-wheel with a single wheel in the back?
Yeah, it's not a Reliant Robin.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I kind of get that reference, but I don't.
So the Reliant Robin was a 3-wheel car, but the single wheel was in the front. And if you go around pretty much any corner,
I feel like that would be like really bad.
It's very bad.
Any corner more than like a mile an hour, it tips over.
Go on YouTube. I implore everyone to do this. Go on YouTube and type in Top Gear Reliant Robin.
It's really
Carve
funny.
out like 3 hours of your day because they did multiple episodes about this car. They launched one into space allegedly, and it just you'll die of laughter. It's the
it's really
funniest thing I've
amusing.
ever seen.
And it actually was built. Who built it?
The company's called Reliant. They're a British company that tells you everything you need to know.
Don't they do shipping? Reliant Shipping?
They might be the same
It
company.
could be. I don't know.
It might.
We're like, we own a shipping company, but let's make cars.
Right.
Like,
Let's make a terrible 3-wheeled car, and that's exactly what they did. And it's crap, and it made for the best TV.
do we ever
ever.
find out the source of caramel or caramel?
Yes, it says that while the exact history of caramel is unknown, it is recorded that about 1650 American settlers
Yeah.
were making hard candies in kettles. Between this time and the early 1800s, Some ingenious candy maker added fat and milk while boiling sugar.
Damn
and
right. It
water,
sounds American.
Yeah, it does.
creating what
Then he
is
wrapped it in
now
bacon.
known-
Like, shot it with an AK or an
Drink a
AR,
beer,
actually.
You know.
creating what is now known as caramel.
All right, there it is.
Caramel.
All I got out of that was bacon and fat. And that somehow makes caramel.
Bacon. There was no bacon.
I added bacon in there. I
Oh.
made it a.
I like his version of caramel.
Tried to
better.
pretty it up, boy. It's dirt. Like,
Oh boy.
oh my gosh. Hot stuff.
I'm not a 4th of July party. You should come over. It's gonna be great.
No, I saw. I got invited last year. Something was going on last
You
year.
were busy, yeah.
Oh, Hamrock. They do that big fireworks show.
Oh.
I can't talk
I
about it on the
can't- I
radio.
can't- I
I'll
can't
tell
compete with
you.
that.
I'll tell you off the podcast.
Okay, perfect.
But no,
compete with
I'll definitely
fireworks.
try. I'll definitely try.
Okay.
I mean, I can't compete with fireworks. I mean, it was a picture of Benjamin Franklin fighting Zeus, but
That's an actual photograph I took.
yeah, there's whole galleries of
Yeah.
like all the presidents and founding fathers and
Yeah.
stuff, like doing really badass stuff.
I bought my brother one of those for Christmas from the guy. It's the one with Teddy Roosevelt fighting a bear, I think.
Isn't he like having like a robot suit on? Like,
Yeah, no, one of them. Yeah. There's multiple Teddy Roosevelt ones, I think. I've got one hanging in my living room that's George Washington dunking on Kim Jong Un, while Abraham Lincoln is screening out Stalin. It's my most prized possession. It's really it makes me happy.
Blown up on like a 20 by 30 canvas.
It's big.
where did you get it at?
Reddit. So I sent the artist a request. I was like, hey man, like I want to buy this print from you, like, or can I send you some money or something? 'Cause like I want to pay you for this. And like I gave it like 2 weeks and he never got back to me. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna send it to some company and have it printed out. So that's how I stole that painting.
Well, that's the cool.
So we're back to National Treasure.
Now that you've implicated yourself.
Well, that's the cool thing about
More of a treasure
about like
protector.
Imager. It's that, and the same thing with like the Reddit communities that I've noticed is that like people are like really good out there in the world. Like
Yeah.
some dude posted this thing like he's like, yeah, my wife left me 3 weeks ago before Christmas, and my daughter's here, and I couldn't get presents or whatever, and blah blah blah. And people were like, dude, post your excuse me. They're like, dude, post your Amazon wish list. So like he posted his Amazon wish list, and like 2 weeks later, he posted a picture and he had like 60 packages on his front door, and like his entire wish list had been
Oh
bought.
my god.
And like
That's
just from
cool.
and all the pictures were like, hey man, from you know whatever their screen name was, their what's it called? Not their avatar, but their
Username?
not a username. There's another word for
Handle?
it. Handle. It had like their handle written on it, and it said like, you know, from whatever, like cheer up, dude, it gets better. Like, and there's everything
That's
up,
really cool.
and they're like full like $500 graphics cards and stuff because everybody's a computer nerd on those sites. You know, PC Master Race, like
PC mustard race.
like-
That was scary that they sent their usernames on there because it's like, oh, little like Sally, this one's from like user like send me your anal butt plug pics.
yeah, like,
Like,
it's true
like
though.
PM me tit pics. Like, or like I saw one today that was oh god, what was it? It was like PM me pictures of rings on your prolapse.
What?
I was like, what?
That's a screen name?
That was Steven. Yeah, PM me pics of rings on your prolapse. Yeah, something like that.
Well, I actually
There's some
posted.
twisted people
Pink
out there.
pink tube sock, bro.
I had people. No, I actually posted the whole thing about this podcast on Imager, and Imager hates self promotion.
Right.
So
yeah.
so I made this whole thing, and I was like, hey guys, like, you know, don't shred me. It's my first whatever. And I actually had like, I don't know, 10, 15 people private message me. They're like, dude, send me the link when it gets. So I sent them all the links. So hopefully they're listening, and we get it. I give a little shout out to the Imager community,
There
and
it is.
they put us on blast, you know. But they're good people out there, man.
Most of the internet's still pretty good. We were talking earlier about how the internet's a bunch of wild, crazy people.
Was it
but
like Rule 32, right?
there's yes. I don't know if that's the right number, but I know where you're going with that.
You know, I think it is Rule 32. You know, Google
I
Rule
think it's-
32.
I think it's 34. I don't know though. I
Well,
might be wrong.
this is the
This is the test. While he's doing that, the best, the most karma I ever got.
That's Rule 34.
the internet.
You win the internet.
The most success I ever had on Reddit was I'm waiting to see his face.
Oh
there it
my
is.
God.
Matt just discovered what Rule
Was it
34
Mickey
is.
Mouse or what is it?
No, Rule 34 is if it can exist.
There's-
Let me see if I can get this out correctly.
Yeah.
If it's ever been thought of or existed before, a porno's been made out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorite one is shopping carts, and because stay with me on this. So the title is just like Rule 34 shopping carts, and of course you're like, what? So you click on it thinking it's something gruesome. It's literally like at Target or whatever when they're all like stacked up together. It's just a picture of that. Lost my crap when I saw that.
You know what's funny? It's like I can't explain it, but like I'll be like belly laughing, dude, in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And Laura will come out. She'll be like, "What the hell are you laughing at?" And I'll show her the picture, and she just like, you know,
Like, I don't get it.
I don't get it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
it's hilarious. Like, I just find certain things funny. Like our text messages, dude, in our group chats.
Oh my god.
I have to walk out of the office sometimes. We're in like our own group. We'll add him in the group, dude. We'll allow him in.
Oh,
But
hey.
So we have
Moving
like,
up.
this group chat, and
it's been going on for months.
Okay.
like well over a year now.
Okay.
And it's every day, all day long. Like if you put your phone down for more than 20 minutes, there's 60 text messages.
Is this on
But
like
dude-
Facebook or what?
No, just,
No. It's on
Oh,
our.
text messaging.
But dude, the sad thing about it is like some of the stuff is like belly laughed in tears. Like I have to get up away from my desk and like walk
yeah.
outside, like
Yeah.
because it's
hilarious.
so funny.
You know, the best Reddit post I ever had, or most successful one, is I don't know if you have seen Dogecoins. I know you have.
Yeah.
He's a wealthy shab.
I
What they
am.
call it. You look
am.
confused.
Much
So it's I'm not even gonna get into.
You're talking about
cryptocurrency.
Doge?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I know,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Then we're all on board.
Yeah.
So I bought a Dogecoin shirt when they were sponsoring the NASCAR car last year, and I had Kaylee, my fiance, hold it up. And,
Your wife, right?
Oh my God. She was my fiance. Wait, I can save this. She was my fiance at the time.
There we go.
we
Okay.
go.
There we
Alright,
go.
cool.
Good save.
Glove save. And in the doozy.
Clutch.
And so she's holding it up, right? And my I'm not gonna say what my username on there is, but it has the word red in it. Because it's my favorite color, but she's a redhead, obviously.
Oh, there it is.
So I put it up on there. I was like, "Hey, got my new shirt in the mail." 'Cause I was like the first one to get it for whatever reason. I got it for like nobody else had gotten theirs yet, and I got mine first. And I get in all this karma. And
I want
click
this
on
guy's
the
life.
Comments, right? Turns good for life. It's real good. That was my best nerd impression.
Wow.
Wasn't good.
You went full
Are you
retard
nervous
now.
or what?
No, I'm getting a little drunk. So anyway, so I click on the
Words of
comments.
late great Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
I'm too drunk to taste
this
this chicken. So I click on the comments, and it's all just dudes hitting on her, just constantly like,
Oh yeah.
just nonstop of like, oh yeah, no, I see why your username's red, and like people implying like, oh, let's see what else is red, like
I bet you the carpet matches the floor.
That's
Like, wait,
what
what? Like,
and that's like totally where they were going with it, and I'm like, I finally like, I can't let this keep going.
do you
So
go to Reddit Gone Wild? Is that you and?
hey, not publicly. So I'm like, I have like 400 or 500 upvotes at this point. I'm like, yeah, all that karma, but I'm like, ah, man, they all think it's her.
I
that's
earned this through
username.
sin. Like,
Right. So I'm like, oh, actually, guys, this is my like fiance at the time, and
is she single? That's like
right.
the top comment.
they're like, oh, is she seeing anyone? But then my karma report,
yeah,
like
dude.
all the downvotes.
Downvote.
I ended up at 100. I was at like 400 or 500. I was on the front page with that.
Wow.
And it was like, no, I don't think it was like the. Yeah, no, it was. It was like the 10th.
That's an accomplishment, dude. Making it
it
on the
was
front page.
for like 12
Did
seconds.
you screenshot it?
No,
Don't believe it.
What's wrong
Sorry.
with you?
I don't believe it.
I know Pixar didn't happen.
Picture didn't happen.
My work was was the #1 post on Reddit last week.
I saw that.
You see the one where the guy reaches out of the go-kart and pulls it backwards? It was a GIF of that, and that was literally at my work while I was working. I saw it happen.
Is it GIF or GIF?
I think it's GIF.
It's however you interpret it. It's like tomato.
Really?
This has become a libertarian thing all over again. Yeah, no, he
Caramel,
just reaches back
caramel,
and pulls it.
caramel, and
We've had a big night.
we
It's-
have.
Like,
Find
so he
that
pulls.
one.
I haven't seen it, but
He reaches
I'm
out.
sure it's on Imager.
The guy's passed him a little bit. Yeah, it was hosted on there. So he reaches out and grabs onto the back bumper of this cart and just pulls himself past it. And like I see that literally every day, so it really wasn't that big of a deal to me. But everybody lost their collective shit over this. Like 4,500 upvotes and like 8,000 comments and shit. And I'm like, holy hell, dude, it ain't that impressive. And yeah, no, that was the #1 post for like 4 hours last weekend.
Wow.
It's in our gifts, so if you want to go.
That's saying something right there.
That's first time I said GIF, right? Or said GIF?
GIF. I said GIF. You said GIF.
Okay, I'm sticking with GIF. I'm pretty sure that's what I don't know.
I say GIF
Yeah, that sounds right.
I say GIF
Because-
because it sounds easier.
because
Like a
Jif
Jiffy.
peanut butter is spelled with a J.
That is my same reasoning.
GIF peanut butter is
Just
spelled with a
saying.
J.
Hashtag just saying.
Just saying. All I'm
Okay,
saying is I'm just saying.
but if you spelt, I don't know. Did you ever see that one where it was like, if you spell this word like with the U from though, and they made this super long word, but it basically said like tree, but it was spelt with like 13 letters because they spelt it with like how the English language is just so screwy, like with all the different like
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I'm gonna sort that one out to find it. What'd you buy at Lowe's? Matt?
Those are moving boxes.
Oh, I didn't know you could buy moving boxes at Lowe's.
You sure can.
Today I learned it's an 18 by 18 by 16. It's a good size.
It's a medium.
I think we've fallen off topic here
Slightly.
a little bit.
Good stuff. What kind of engine again did you put in the? What brand was it?
The Chrysler, the Mopar Dodge, all the same.
Okay, Mopar.
Plymouth.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, there. Oh yeah, right.
So
Sorry.
Chrysler. Okay, so let me see this. So Hemi was Ford.
No. Well, Hemi is a design of engine, but the term was made famous by Chrysler, Mopar, Dodge, Plymouth.
Also trademarked and copyrighted.
Yeah, so Ford had something called the semi-Hemi, which I don't want to get into.
See, like I said, I know just enough to be like, oh yeah.
That's all right.
You know what I mean?
I'm here to help.
I know.
I don't judge.
Well, you probably don't know anything about what I'm passionate. I don't even know what I'm passionate about. Jiu-jitsu, I guess. Oh, dude.
I don't
So
know shit about that.
Mike got me in this move last night. I go to jiu-jitsu once, twice a week. It's hard to get there, but I go when I can. And Mike got me in this like impossible move because I'm so small and he's such a mass amount of man. He's about 6'1".
He's like 6'1", 6'2".
230, 240
Of
pounds
muscle.
of dude,
Yeah.
like of alpha male.
Right.
And I'm what 5'6", 160, 170, and so he gets me in this called a helicopter armbar. So Mike's laying on his back. He has both my sleeves, and he has his feet and my hips, and he lifts me up over him. And uses his legs to spin me around so that my arm falls in between his legs into an armbar.
Wow.
Right? It's a move you see like once a year.
What?
And of course it happened to me. So
Video of this?
no. But this is where it gets good. And ask Mike cuz this happened. So he does this in front of like the whole peanut gallery of everybody that's watching, right? And everybody is just like, "Oh shit." Like, "I've never seen that in person." Like all these, you know what I mean? Like all these like comments. So I scream out, dude, as Mike's trying to crank. I'm double jointed. So it's really hard to get me in certain moves. An armbar is one of them. So I scream out and I'm like, "I'm not going to let you finish this." And everybody's like I could see people like kind of looking around, dude. I spin up on my knees, right? He's still got my arm. I spin up on my knees. My shoulder is almost like hyperextended right now, but I can't feel it. I pull my arm out. As I pull my arm out, he flips over and I take his back. And everybody like in the stands was like, like, what just happened? I don't know what made me think of that, but
That's hilarious. I watched my first UFC fight like last weekend.
Ronda Rousey put that chick away in 14 seconds.
That was amazing.
Dude.
Is that the second time she's done that?
Ronda Rousey is a monster. And I mean, and she's beautiful too. But she is, well, she was like an Olympic judo fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Her mother was an Olympic judo fighter. And she's just designed for pain. And like and she just knows what she's doing. And there's no, and I actually read this article about it because she actually, Joe Rogan had said like, and this is no way knocking Joe Rogan, but he had said that, you know, she could beat 50% of the men in her weight class. And then some reporter said that to her, like, "Oh, is it true you could, you know, Joe Rogan said you could beat 50% of the men?" And she goes, "I could beat 100% of the men in my weight class." And he was like, "Okay." And she's like, "I could beat Cain Velasquez if I wanted to." And I don't know if you know who Cain Velasquez is. Cain Velasquez is the heavyweight champ right now.
Oh, okay.
He's about 240 pounds.
He's the guy that beat Brock Lesnar?
Yeah, made Brock Lesnar scream. Made him scream for like out of pain. But Cain Velasquez is a freak anomaly because he can just go at 110% for 20 rounds. That's what makes him so scary. You know what I mean? Is because and he's just a monster. And they were talking about that, like that's what Ronda though, but she honestly in her head believes that she can. Even though it's completely
right.
But that's what makes her such a formidable opponent is that she believes in her head that she can do it. And I'm not saying she couldn't. Nobody knows she can't. She's probably never going to fight him, let's be real. But
Yeah, UFC will never let that happen.
never allowed to happen. But yeah, dude, she is just a dominating force and they can't find women that can they can't find women that can fight her. And there's nobody right now. The only person they're thinking of is Cyborg. Cyborg. She you have no idea what I'm talking
Not
about.
a clue.
But
Smile and nod.
Cyborg was she was a fighter and she got popped for steroids. But she was like a Rousey, like just a monster. And they booted her from fighting, and now I guess like she hasn't fought in maybe like I want to say like a year or two, but she's going through all the motions and all the testing to prove that she can fight. And they're saying that she's the only woman on the planet right now who could possibly
Come close.
be a threat to Ronda Rousey. Because if Ronda Rousey beats her, there's nobody.
Right.
They're gonna have to like retire the belt and like just keep paying her because there's nobody else to fight her and nobody's coming up. You know what I mean? So
Is Cyborg in the same weight class?
yeah.
She is?
135 bantamweights. She Cyborg, well not Cyborg, Rousey, she has those judo throws that are just I watched this video. Well, first off, there's Art of Jiu-Jitsu over in Costa Mesa, which is like one of the most legit jiu-jitsu academies, the Mendez brothers.
Okay.
They're both world champions. They're badass dudes. And like BJ Penn, the natural. BJ Penn's got a crazy story too because he started off now don't quote me, I don't know this 100%, but I think he started training with Half Gracie, and then he worked with Half until he got really high up in ranking, and then he just left Half Gracie and he went to another guy and finished up his black belt, or he got his black belt under Half, one of those things. And anyways, he kind of kicked Half to the curb, and that started like a really big like blood feud. But BJ is a natural at jiu-jitsu, and there's a video of them I think like 2 weeks ago, Ronda and BJ training over at the Mendez brothers, and like BJ, you got to understand, this dude held the belt in 2 weight classes. He was just a monster, and he was kind of like hesitant going in with Ronda because her judo throws, dude, are just so on point that if you give her an inch, she's taking a mile and you're done. It's really interesting.
That's
but
nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. So how was your first UFC fight? What'd you think? They called it Lilith Fair because it was like all women fighting. They were calling it Lilith Fair UFC.
It was entertaining. I mean, obviously, it was kind of part disappointment, part just shock and awe at the main event. Like, but it was like so, like ridiculous is the wrong word, but just so like awe-inspiring that it was like that was cool. Like, it was disappointing that it didn't go longer because we're like, we'd heard like she maybe has a chance against Rousey, but
well, dude, the thing is like that move that she did against Kat was the same exact move she did in her last fight. The same exact setup, the same exact throw. It's just that she landed differently with Kat than she did with the other chick. The other girl, she landed, and the way she landed was the girl's head and the girl's arm was right here. And she had all of her weight on the girl, so the girl couldn't do anything. And she started pounding on her face until the ref called it. And I think it was like 14 seconds. And then when she went against Kat, she did the same exact toss. They just landed different. And then she just took her arm and started cranking on her arm until armbar she tapped.
That's insane.
But yeah, they're monsters.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I watch like pro wrestling. That's kind of different.
Kind of like completely different.
Completely.
Kind of like not even the same.
Not even, yeah, like
not in the same ballpark.
I could have even said like I watch tennis, and that would have been as comparable.
Yeah, like.
Well, I mean,
essentially, yes.
Brock Lesnar is there, so I guess that's kind of similar. And
he's coming back.
That's what I hear. He was there last Saturday or Sunday, or whatever.
He's gonna come back.
He had that stomach issue last time, and
yeah, dude, he almost died.
Yeah, he's healthy now.
He had too much protein.
Of course it was.
That was his problem, dude. Well, dude, he's
what an American.
Well, you know what's crazy about Brock is that there's a weight limit on heavyweights. So I think the weight limit is like 280 or 290. If you're over that, you can't fight heavyweight.
Really?
Because you're just, it's whatever. So Brock, he's like 4% body fat. He'd have to cut down to make heavyweight.
Wow.
Like because he weighs like 320. He'd have to cut down to like 290 to make his heavyweight weight in order to fight. And then like, yeah.
Insane.
I mean, I could be making that all up, but I'm pretty sure that's true. But yeah, he was good, dude. I mean, Mir put him away with an ankle lock, and then he went against somebody else, and then he went against Shane Carwin, and Shane had never lost a fight. He'd never not gone past the first round. So he was putting the screws to Brock, and then they went into the second round, and then Shane was gassed because he's never gone past the first round, and Brock took over then, and then he went against I just said his name, Cain Velasquez.
Oh, okay.
But it's like everybody in their classes right now are like undisputed. Like nobody can touch him. There's nobody that can even come close to like nobody right now can fight Cain Velasquez. He's just on a new level. And then like same thing with Bones Jones. Like Jones is just. I was listening to them talking about Jones and how he like entered his first academy ever, like never trained before in his life. And he's like, all right, so let's do this. And he had like black belts, like tapping and stuff like that. He'd never done anything in his life. It's just a natural, gifted athlete. And
That's crazy.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's
crazy.
I think we're going to call it.
All right.
I think this was the longest one yet, right?
It certainly is.
Might need to trim that a little.
We set a record. No.
Oh, okay. Cool.
No, that's a good
I do
space
like to
right
hear
there. Dude. I'm
myself
seeing
talk.
like what, an hour 20, something like that.
Hour and 23 minutes right now.
Nah, dude, it's a new. Hey, give me some nuts, bro.
There it is.
It's a little thing. So, thank you for listening to episode 3 of Whiskey Babble. We'd like to thank our lovely guest, Patrickle, Pat, Mopar. Yeah, Mopar's a good engine. See, he's just, that's all you got to say to
Of course,
people.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. All you got to say to people, bro. And then, yeah, so we got a tradition on the show. We cheers at the end of every episode. So I want to say cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Burns
burns so
the belly.
good. And thanks for coming out, man. It was a great episode. Thank you to Matt,
Yeah,
our
no
producer.
Absolutely.
And what? Oh yeah, and also he's trying to be so subtle about it. You guys, don't forget. I'm so happy to talk to you guys that I always forget to plug us because plugging kind of sounds lame, but I'm gonna plug us because we do need the subscribes and we do need the likes and we do need the follows.
Yeah,
So
the
if you
subscriptions keep this ship sailing.
Yeah, you guys, this if you guys really like what you're listening to, it's not that hard to click subscribe. It's free. It doesn't affect you in any way. Like, it really doesn't. Like, so just go on to iTunes or wherever you're listening to us from, subscribe. Go on YouTube, subscribe. You don't even have to watch the video. Just let it play and walk away for 10 seconds and come back and stop, and that counts as a play.
There it is.
So
you guys should post your Amazon wish list in the description.
we should,
There it
right?
is.
Done deal, dude.
All
Done
right.
deal. So, yeah, thanks to everybody for listening. Please do things for us. We'd love to keep making episodes for you. We're having a blast doing it, and we've heard nothing but good things that you guys like listening to it. And yeah, just thank you for everything, and good night. Whiskey Babble out.